Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner Studio, and with me today is Dr. Chris Ballenger, our superintendent of our school district, and Mike George, I guess we'll just call him a parent of a student in your system there. How's that?
Yes,
we're
sir.
going to get to Mike here in a few minutes on a subject that's dear to our hearts, but we're going to talk first of all about a few things that are happening since school just started. I thought
sir.
you could give us a little highlight of some of the things that are happening like in the next week or two.
Okay. Well, Mike, what I want to say thank you again for being a great partner.
Sure, that's us.
I appreciate everything that you do for the schools and for helping us get our message out. And but the one thing I would like to first start that just to recognize that this month is Suicide Awareness Month, and when you look at National Suicide Prevention Month, when you look at suicides, it is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 14. And it's the third leading cause of death among people 15 to 24, and it's the 12th leading cause in the U.S. And so we just want to recognize that mental health is a concern in our society, in our community, and encourage those people that are struggling to maybe go talk to a parent, talk to a teacher, talk to somebody that they trust in order to get the help that they need. Or they can call or text. They can text 988, or they can go on the 988lifeline.org.
Yeah, that's a new
to get
service.
some
I was
help.
reading about that. We have 9/11, then we have one for that. That's a great idea. I think people don't realize that help is there, and and like I say, they don't always think school is not the place to do it, but probably one of the better places to find out.
Well, and school is about relationships. And so our teachers and our staff, we build relationships with students and with families, and what better way to, if you're struggling with something,
Sure.
you need support, then reach out to a staff member,
Right.
and we're here to help you.
Well, every teacher I've ever met, even the ones I didn't like, were really underlying that help. They were there really to help you, and they all did it in a different way. But even the ones that I thought were poking me in the chest, but they, and you look back later in life, I can remember meeting a teacher that I really admired 30 years after I graduated from high school.
Yes.
And didn't realize, and I told him that I didn't really realize all the good things you did for me. So you're right. It's I think underlying teachers there to help. You don't take that job for the pay, do you?
No. It's dedication to students and to your community. So it's a calling.
It's a calling. Speaking of which, I understand that parent-teacher conferences are coming up here soon.
You're right. So next week we have parent-teacher conferences on Thursday and Friday. So there's no school for students on Thursday or Friday. The first half of Thursday is going to be a professional development day. Then we will roll into parent-teacher conferences from 3 to 6 at the elementary, and then from 4 to 7 at the secondary schools on Thursday night. And then Friday morning from 9 to 12, we will also have parent-teacher conferences. At 12 o'clock, all buildings and offices are closing. So we're going to offer parents an evening and a morning opportunity to come in, whatever may fit their schedule, to provide to have that conversation with the teacher concerning their child.
That's good.
So we're looking forward to our parent-teacher conferences, but just to remind everybody, no school for students on Thursday or Friday. We will have some professional development up until the parent-teacher conferences start on Thursday night, and then Friday morning. Friday morning's a new thing this year for
Sure.
us. And we're doing that from 9 to 12. So.
Right. You mentioned that word professional development. You always see that on the school calendar. Come on, they're professionals. They need to be developed. Tell us a little bit about what are the things, and they're all throughout the school year. You have these days. What do they do?
Well,
I'm just
I mean,
curious.
so this year the big push for professional development is VLA. So that's the Virginia Literacy Act. So all of our teachers have to be trained and have to go through this program. And I think on average, I think it's a minimum of 30 hours that they have to have training that's required by the state. Also, they're implementing new math standards, new English standards.
Yes.
So you have all that training with realigning and just curriculum and all types of professional development to help us to make sure that we're doing the best job that we can for our students.
So teachers are going back to school.
Yeah, yes. So, but also on Thursday night, I wanted to mention there is going to be, it's called a fireside chat, and we will be sending some information out concerning this.
Okay.
The First Lady of Virginia and Dr. Height, he is I believe he's a psychologist. I don't want to get that all wrong, but a researcher. And they're going to have a program from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. We're going to hold this at Warren County High School. 7 to 8, the First Lady and Dr. Height, they're going to talk about basically how social media and cell phones has affected society and affect youth in today. And then from 8 to 9, there's going to be some question and answering, and we're going to kind of facilitate that. And this is happening across the state at all the school divisions.
It's like a virtual thing.
It is. It's going to be a virtual thing. We're going to host it at Warren County High School in their auditorium. So it'll be available to parents to come and listen. If they have questions, we're going to work through that to try to make sure that we're facilitating that to the best of our ability to get those questions answered. So, but looking forward to that, because this is also tying into, as the governor put out Executive Order 33, and now that deals with the use of cell phones, electronic devices in our schools.
Yes, they walk everywhere. You're going to run over them on the sidewalk. They're looking at their phone.
So this is a tie-in to that, and we do know that if people are interested, they can watch the work session next week. We're going to be talking about our cell phone policy or electronic device policy. The guidance so far from the state is a little more stringent than what we had. Basically, they're saying bell to bell is from the first start of from the first bell in the morning to the last bell in the evening, and they're saying no cell phones. So we're as we get that final guidance, whatever that final guidance is what we're going to be implementing. And so there could be some growing pains with some things. Right now,
cutting their arm off.
Well, right now our current policy is that basically during instruction time. So when class starts, when the bell for the class to start, no cell phones or electronic devices are allowed while the teacher is instructing. Then between breaks, like 5 minutes between classes, students could use them then, or at lunch, students can use them at the secondary schools. So at high schools, they can use them at lunch. With the guidance that we received early on, it was a draft. They're saying, so basically for our secondary schools, from 9 o'clock to 3:30, nothing. And if that's the recommendation, then that's what we're going to go with. So I know that's going to be. There'll be some issues, but we have to implement what the Virginia Department of Education and what the governor is expecting us to implement as a school system. So
Well, it does have an influence on the education. I mean, it's like anything that's good gets abused, maybe a little too much, and they get tied to it. And it's like that. I just told you I did a story on internet addiction. So we have phone addiction. I mean, we use that phone. I stopped wearing a watch because I use my cell phone for my watch, and I use it for my camera. I use it for my email. I very rarely make a call on it.
Well, and when they talk about, in the draft guidance, anything, it's not just cell phones. So it is smartwatches. It's when you Bluetooth to a headset
so you
or
can't
something,
be hiding this stuff.
And it's talking about any and all electronic devices that can receive text, calls, video, anything of that nature.
Well, you are going to have some growing pains there.
It's going to be, there's going to be some challenges, but I hope our families and community understand we're implementing what we're supposed to be implementing according to the Virginia Department of Education.
Yeah. So after a few days, it'll be fine.
We'll see how
I'm
that
trying
all
to give you
works
some
out. Yeah, I appreciate
affirmation there.
I appreciate the support there. So it'll be good, and our administrators and staff will work through everything with our families. That's what we do. We
I
build
grew
relationships.
up in school. I didn't have a cell phone. We didn't have cell phones, right? Or even when they did come out, you got to carry a backpack with you.
Yep. So, but the other topic that I really wanted to kind of talk about today was WCPS 101,
Right,
and that's why I asked Mr. George to come in and have a conversation with us. He is a parent that went through WCPS 101 last year with us. It was our introduction to WCPS 101. It was our first year of doing it.
Okay.
WCPS 101 came along because in our 5-year strategic plan, we have a climate and culture, we have community, and so this was our piece for the community involvement from the division level, from my part, to engage more parents in conversations about schools, understanding schools, and there are some other schools out there that offer programs similar to this, and so I know about 3 years ago I'd reached out to, at the time it was Dr. Savine was at Frederick County. He was doing a program similar to this, and so I talked to him about his program and got some information and put our program together, and then we implemented it last year, starting in August. We have enough space for about 20 people. We limit it to 20 because we want to have those intimate conversations. We want our parents that are involved to be able to, one, make it to every single one of the monthly meetings, but then have conversations so that we can talk and answer their questions that they have about our school system, their child's school, or something that maybe they don't quite understand, but that we are able to give them that information, and then that provides them with more knowledge about how the school system operates. It also helps create ambassadors for the school system.
Exactly.
So when they're out having conversations with people, they can hey, I went through this program,
and what you're saying is not true.
and here's how it actually works.
Right.
And so it helps us with also just helping to educate other people within our community. And so we do meet. We start in October. We meet monthly, and we have topics like the first topic is an overview and work of the school board. Then we will go into instruction and technology. We'll go into student support services, which are, that includes special education, pupil services. We also discuss finance and transportation, planning and development and facilities. Then some other topics are school accountability, career and technical education, school child nutrition, human resources. And then in May, we have a graduation where we present our participants with a little certificate that they completed WCPS 101. And so, but I can tell you the group that we had last year was a great group. It was from the get-go, from the first meeting, they were able to give us something as a school division to implement. And we were going over the overview of the work session. We were talking about board meetings, and it came up on the topic about, well, how do we know what's on there? And so from that first initial meeting, they were like, well, why can't you send out a notice to all parents like on a Monday or Tuesday before the board meeting and just highlight what the topics are going to be?
Right.
Because not everybody doesn't know to go to the board docs to look at the agenda.
Exactly.
So from that point forward, and I think we've done it every month, but whenever we have a meeting, we now send out, actually Miss Holloway, my administrative assistant, she goes in, she summarizes, and then we send that out to all the parents so that they can see what's coming up on the agenda, and just so from the first day, they were actively engaged, gave us some things to talk about. So
our community really is involved in the school system. Obviously, it affects most people. But when we watch, the videos that we do of the different sessions, we go back and look at how many people viewed them. It's just amazing how many people sat through a 4-hour board meeting or a work session. Hundreds that will do that, and I think that shows you the involvement that parents, are having. They're interested in it, and I think that's a great thing. Yeah. And you have people show up, not just to complain, but sometimes to say good things as well. But to know what's going on, just to know what's going on with their kids, and I think it's great. This workshop 101 type academy that you're having, I noticed that the police do it, maybe even the fire and other community. We do one for the town,
we do it for the town
and the county. So it's really makes a big difference on involving, and it's a great thing. Everyone I've talked to that have gone through those type of things, like a leadership academy, a town, and the police thing, citizens advisory committee thing, they all think it's great. They opens their eyes and realizes, wow. And you're the biggest employer in the county. I mean, I think it's great to find out what it takes to run an operation like this. So tell us, Mike, what's your takeaway from that?
Well, first, thank you both for the opportunity to join the conversation, and thanks to Dr. Ballenger and the school system for putting this program on. I think it's great. When it first came out and I saw the agenda, I was like, I have to go to this thing. Our son, it's very timely. Our son Arsenio just started Skyline Middle last year, And my daughter, who had just started GMU at the time, said to me, "Daddy, why would you want to do this?" And I said, "Well, Arsenio, our son, is going to have to learn how to navigate the school system, and how can I help him navigate if I don't have a good understanding of sort of the framework and how everything sort of works together?" So this was like an excellent opportunity to do that.
Not just to embarrass your kids in school, right?
Exactly. But that helps. Yeah. But I thought that they were very welcoming, very accommodating. Dr. Ballenger, the assistant superintendents, the school board attended the meetings. You mentioned earlier these little fireside chats, and that's kind of what it was like. We'd go to each session in a different building. The principal or whoever ran that program would give us a tour, which was really exciting. They had good snacks, which never hurts.
You always bring food to these things because that gets them to show up. All right.
Yeah, and then afterwards, I mean, literally, they would stay as late as anyone had any questions or wanted to talk about anything. And I thought they were very transparent. Anything that we wanted to bring up, they didn't shy away from. So I think everyone really appreciated that. And everyone that I've run into since going to the program, on the soccer field or supermarket, whatever, everyone just says what a great program it is. And we hope we get more support this year.
Yeah. So you want to recommend it?
I would absolutely recommend it. There was two things that stood out for me. I enjoyed every session, but the Blue Ridge Technical Center and the visit to the transportation department were the two that just kind of blew me away. I just had no idea how big those programs were, and the people that came and presented, not just those, but all of the sessions, you can tell they were just so dedicated and so passionate, and they care about what they do. And I think that was clear to everyone. But those two really stood out for me. But I enjoyed every single session.
And Blue Ridge Tech had the best food because we had.
Oh yes,
the culinary school. Yeah.
Yes, because our culinary program is over there.
Yeah.
And Mr. Smith, I think they prepared some.
Yeah, they had a show off.
They prepared so it was you were able to taste some of the work that students had prepared that day for that night. So. But yeah, I would say that they kind of topped everybody. So I'm leaving that one on the schedule because I think everybody needs an opportunity to tour Blue Ridge Tech and so.
But, it's amazing again because even if we have kids, they've graduated, they're at the wrong age or something. But very few students out of the whole group, our 5,000 pupils, will get to go to Blue Ridge Tech or go to our special services. But we've been to both of those places, and I didn't know that you had a robotics thing, or I didn't realize that you have a special class for this type of a student and for this type of a student, almost like individualized instruction almost, and you don't, unless your kid's in that, you don't know. And I think it's a great opportunity to maybe spread the light a little bit, and programs like this will help those students or help parents know a little bit more about it. I think it's, like I said, it's just they don't always have the opportunity. We talked earlier before we started, about dual enrollment. I mean, I think that's like the biggest, best thing that the school has going now for kids that want to, go a little extra,
Yeah.
And
yes, sir.
I just think there's so many things that can be highlighted in the school, and it kind of just gets, covered up.
Well, there's so much.
Well, now I am going to try to work on our timeline because we would get into some conversations, and we always tried to schedule typically about 2 hours is what we would schedule, but then we would hit that 8 o'clock mark, and we would still continue. And I got to the point of telling parents, okay, it's 8 o'clock. You can leave now if you want, but if you want to stay and have conversations, we'll sit here as long as you're here and as long as you have conversations. And I think there's been sometimes that we were there till 8:45, 9 o'clock, talking to parents and answering questions and just having great conversation.
Yeah. And people want to know, what's the old saying is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably the outcome of something like this, that you see that you've seen that they do care. Mm-hmm. And they're there to help, and I think it's great.
And some people may ask, why can't you just record these and put them out there for people? It's the relationships that we build. It's having those, being in that intimate setting to where you're having those conversations one-on-one with a group of parents, or really getting into a deep discussion with something that's valuable.
Right.
And I know we even used that group when we were talking on, I think it was instruction or one night that we went over some of our federal programs to get input from the group and things of that nature
Yeah,
to say, hey, here's how we're doing these programs. Do you have any suggestions? And to elicit feedback
Sure.
from that parent group
Yeah.
when it comes to it.
It's kind of like church. It's not the same watching it on television. You know what I mean?
Well, it's true, especially the tours.
It's the fellowship. It's the relationship and the eyeballs to eyeballs that you get.
And as you're walking around the schools, you see things that trigger questions.
Yeah.
Transportation department, that was just awesome. We got to get up on the buses. A really good conversation about how many buses we have, the ages of them, and the need to replace a bunch of the buses. And then just the whole operation of
just how to get the routes all going.
Yeah. Well, that and then the snow and knowing when to cancel and sort of how that whole process goes. And I was like, wow, I had no idea. So much went into that.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then also just seeing the shop out there. I'm just always amazed. I like going over there. The shop is so nice, clean. And then, of course, we service the Warren County Sheriff's Office vehicles there. And so, that whole group is just fabulous. They're fantastic in what they do, and they know their stuff. And so, and I think those are things that, one, we want to share. We want to push out there. And then, of course, as Mr. George mentioned, that every principal is passionate about their school. And I think our first tour, when we went to Warren County High School, I think that lasted almost an hour, because principals want to show everything. And so, from that point forward, we had to slide this back a little bit to shorten up our tours a little bit here and there so that we can get other things in. But because principals are passionate about their building and what's going on in their building, they want to share. And so, it is good to hear principals and how they talk about their schools, and for parents to then interact with administrators that maybe they don't have a child in that school at this point in time, but next year they may. They may have some of those questions that they want to get answered.
Yeah, I think it's good that people want to know that you're open and transparent. That kind of like it's a new buzzword, but. If you got a question, just call and ask. But some people all they do is get on social media and yak about stuff and then really never follow through with it. But I think it's good that they know they can do it, and hopefully they will. Yeah. Sign up for this. How can they sign up?
So we did push out information to parents. I think it was a couple weeks ago. Sent it out in an email. There is an application. They have to send that to their child's school, because we're only accepting about 20, and if we find out we have more than 20, then there's a process that we'll use a rubric, and the school will select the parents from their school. So central office will have nothing to do with selecting parents for the program. It's going to be the school, and they will select.
And you try to get a cross section of some elementary, some middle school, and high school students. Yeah, that's good.
That way it's fair. Like last year we only had 13, I believe it was. So we didn't have to go through that process because only 13 parents signed up.
Right.
So we're hoping that we're going to see more applicants this year. If we do, we will go through that process. So they send their application to their child's school, and then that's due September 18th.
Yeah, that's like next week.
That is next week, yes. Yep. And then September 23rd is when they'll be notified that they are accepted into the program. And then this year, our first session will be held on October the 9th. And that will start from at 6 o'clock, go to 8 o'clock, and that's going to be at Hilda J. Barber this year. So last year we started at Warren County High School. This year we're going to start at Hilda J. Barber.
All right.
But put those applications in, and I will send you one. You can tag it to this as well. I'm going to go back and make sure that it is on our website for parents to access.
It is. I found it.
You found it? Okay.
I had to click around looking for it, but I found it.
Okay. All right.
I searched WCPS 101 and nothing came up. So I kind of found it on I don't know what I did, but I'm pretty resourceful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I will definitely, I can send you a copy. You can
I'll put all the links to where it's at and everything. Yeah, we'll do that.
Or if you just want to link it to our website,
we will.
That'll be fine. And then parents can just get that application into their child's school and by the 18th.
Yep. It's great.
We'll go from there. So.
Well, I appreciate you coming in and sharing all this neat stuff with us. We have several principals already scheduled to come in, and other team members from around our school district. We're going to try to have someone come in each month to kind of like highlight their school and what's going on at the different schools, and that's kind of the new plan we're going to try to do to highlight some of these things, because there's a lot of hidden gems at all our schools, and they all have, each one is a little, even the two high schools are like completely different of what, what goes on there, So I think we're going to do that. And of course, we've been working with the DECA students. That's a great program. It's funny. I was talking to Mr. Gardner about it. He said, yeah, when they start off, you got to drag people in. Now they're self-recruiting. And I think his class this year is like 75 or something. It's crazy. It's just grown. And that's just a great program. And there's many other programs, the FFA and all the athletic things. And, it's just a lot going on. Yeah.
And I just want to thank Mr. George for one, joining us today, but also for joining in on the program last year and being a participant and being there every week or every month, I should say. And,
I think he's going to be at these board meetings, keeping an eye on you to make sure his kid gets right.
That's perfectly fine.
Wait a minute, that's not according to policy, right?
And that's perfectly fine. I mean, that's part of it. Is if you want to be involved in your child's education, we are a service organization to our community.
Right.
We're here to help parents educate their children, and so we value parent involvement. We want parent involvement, and being involved is yes, you don't have to go to the WCPS 101 program. You can go to board meetings. You can volunteer at your school. You can find out how you can help in the classroom.
You can come to parent-teacher conferences.
You can come to parent-teacher conferences. There's a lot of different ways that parents can get involved with their child's education, and just remember that we're here to help them.
Yeah, I do know that when you have parental involvement in the school, the kid does better, but the discipline at home and at school is better when they know. I can remember when my teenagers, they could come home from school, and my wife happened to be then at that time, and even though they're teenagers, you could see the difference on the days that she was home and the days they weren't, and just kind of like attitudes, and they appreciate it. You think, they don't really care. They do care, and I think that's important to have, pay attention to your kids and kind of watch what's going on. But I think it's great. Well, again, thank you so much for sharing this. It's great to always have you in. Mike, I really appreciate you coming in and doing stuff like this. And hopefully we can encourage other parents to take advantage of this. So we'll do that. I want to encourage everyone to check out the links below to the WCPS 101. And if you have kids in school and you're interested in that, I think you should sign up and see if you can get in on this year's class. All right. And don't forget about Parent-Teachers Conference. It's important that you take the time to go. It shows your kids that you want to know about what's going on and how they're doing. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.